Hey, you cool cats and kittens.
Stop!
Hey, this is just a reminder of what quarantine was like.
Oh my gosh.
Joe Exotic, you know,
Literally.
Tiger King. Hey, so we got your questions, and so what Allison and I are about to do is we are going to go through these questions and answer them to the best that we can. We're no experts on this matter, and I'm sure your parents have some answers too, so ask them these questions as well. So, Allison, you want to start us off?
Sure.
All right, the first question is what is one of your fave things to do as a couple?
Oh gosh. One of my favorite things to do is go hiking and explore.
Yes.
And explore outside. That's kind of how our relationship started, so it's always really fun for us. And now we can bring Olive, and she loves it.
She loves hiking.
So
what about how we met? You want to tell the story? I tell the story every time it's asked, so you can also go this question.
Well, I don't know. We kind of met a bunch of different times before we officially met. Like the first time we met was at D-Now, but you looked like a cowboy, and so I was over that real quick. You had your long hair, and then the second time I saw you,
long curly, luscious locks, luscious locks.
Second time,
what do you do?
You had a man bun.
Yes.
I don't know if we met, but I did see.
You saw a picture of my man bun. That's good.
That was pretty gross as well, because it wasn't like...
We're talking about how we met here, not dog Slayton.
Okay, so we were on a mission trip to Colorado. You were an intern with the youth group, and I was with the youth pastor and his wife watching their kids so they could kind of lead the trip. And I don't know, we kind of met a bunch of times throughout the trip. I didn't really notice you that much. Not because I didn't think you were great.
You didn't notice me?
I just
at the water park she noticed me.
Okay. I just was focused on taking care of the kids, and they were my priority, and you were busy. But then when we got home, you confessed your likeness of me.
I shot my shot.
And I had no idea it was coming.
The buckets.
Literally no idea. Yeah, you've got a lot of comments about what I have to say.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Anyways, and then we kind of went from there. It was super out of the blue, but it worked out.
Yeah. My dad said, Slayton, would you regret not asking this girl out? I was like, absolutely. So I did it. Shot my shot, manned up, did it. And the rest is history. And now we have Olive, who is attacking me as we talk. So dating advice. You want to do this one or you want me to do this one?
You kind of go first because you dated in high school.
Okay, so for me, my dating advice would be to always do it with friends. And so what I'm saying is when you're dating a girl or when you're dating a guy, try to go on dates with other people and still try to be in community. Don't isolate yourself, because I did that and I regretted doing that because I lost some friends over it. And none of those people I dated is who I ended up marrying. So yeah, don't my dating advice would be don't sacrifice friendships just because you're dating someone, because you can do both.
My experience in high school is very different. I didn't date really at all in high school. I think I went on a date, but I didn't realize it was a date, so that was... Anyway, so it's not that I wouldn't say don't date, because obviously some people find the person that they're going to spend the rest of their life with in high school. But those are very few and far between. And I would say, like Slayton said, build community, build friendships, make that your priority. And then if it happens to be that somebody is a part of your life who you feel like you can't do without, or you feel like you have to shoot your shot, then go for it. But make sure it's a like you said, don't sacrifice friendships for the relationship, because those are pivotal pieces of who you are as well. It's not just about your boyfriend or your girlfriend. It's also about those friends who
Olive.
Oh my gosh. It's also about those friends who really help define you and push you in a relationship with Christ. So, that's really it. Okay, next question. What does the Bible say about dating?
What does the Bible say about dating? You want to do this one? Or you want me to do this one?
I'll let you do this.
Okay, I'll do this one. So the Bible doesn't say much about dating, if not anything at all, but it does talk about relationships. It does talk about how we interact with people. Allison is going to take a break right now and take Olive away because she's being crazy.
Oh, you want some treats?
And so it's back on me. I'll answer this question for you. Is in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul's writing to the church in Corinth, and he's talking about marriage, right? And he's talking about singleness. There's a section of a couple verses right in the middle of chapter 7 where it talks about how Paul is actually encouraging people to stay single, but if you have a desire for people and need relationships and need to have relationships, especially with the opposite sex, that and you don't really have self-control in that area to go ahead and marry. And so what does the Bible say about dating? It says that whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship is okay. I hope that.
But it should be like to the glory of the Lord.
It should be to the glory of the Lord, which leads to Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. So I'm going to read that for us real quick. It says this: I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. You see, in dating, this should be the way you live, right? This should be the way that you date. It should be this offering my body to the Lord as a living sacrifice. So anything that comes in the way of me being able to glorify the Lord is wrong. And dating can get in the way. So we have to be careful about how we're dating and who we're dating, so that we can always be glorifying the Lord and presenting ourself, our whole entire being, as a living sacrifice to the Lord, which is our spiritual worship. And we want to worship Him in everything that we do.
It brings to mind, and Carrie, our middle school pastor, was just mentioning this earlier, the passage of Scripture, and I'm really horrible at like picking up, specific place, but it talks about not making this judgment call unless you're doing it in a sober mind. And that doesn't mean drinking. It means like a sober mind is with clear discernment. You're doing it outside of the confinements of like lust or desire. What you're thinking about is discerning dating, discerning boundaries, discerning those things before you ever put yourself in a situation where you're now in trouble. So like, for example, if you are now dating a boy or dating a girl and you're like 4 months into dating and you're trying to decide, okay, what are our boundaries on physical parts of this relationship? Well, now 4 months into dating, your desire, your lust, your whatever you want to define those things at are way heightened than if you had decided those for yourself as a single person before ever entering a relationship. So I think that's the same thing with dating, is deciding where your heart is with the Lord before you ever enter a relationship. Where do you feel safe, and where do you feel like, okay, this is fudging the lines, this is kind of outside of what I'm comfortable with, and trying to uphold that before you enter into a relationship. Yeah,
that's good.
Next question
is, since we're already on this framework here, or this line, whatever you want to call it, let's ask this question: is it a sin to make out? Is it a sin to make out? So my question to you is, why are you making out? Right? Let's answer your question with a question: why are you making out? Like, what's the motivation of your heart? What's the desire? Because more time than not, usually it comes from a physical lust. It comes from this desire to do more than whatever. And so you know that having sex before marriage is wrong. So you're like, well, then I guess we can make out because it's here. So what do I do? If I can't have this, I must be able to do something else. And so is making out wrong? Who knows? But I would say desire of your heart and the reason you want to make out is where it could fall into sin very quickly. And you're not loving that person well either.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about relationships, we're going to talk about the other side, the physical side of things as well. The purpose of making out is to prepare your body to have like and this is really awkward, but to prepare your body to have like an intimate moment of sacrifice with the person that you're married to. And outside of marriage, there's just physical things that happen when you make out. It's telling your body, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm desiring. And like physiologically, your body's going to prepare you for those things. And so when you're in a relationship that isn't marriage, you're now opening up a doorway to kind of let your body go further than like what you should be preparing for.
Yeah.
As a unmarried, honestly, a single person, because you're single until you get married, technically. Yeah. And so I don't want y'all to be like, oh, I'm in high school, I can't have fun. Because obviously relationships are meant to be enjoyed. They're meant to be times of like healthy, good fun. But when you begin to tell your body, this is what I want, this is what I'm desiring, not only in thought, but with action, things get like, you want to help me?
The thing is, our hearts are prone to wander. And what Paul is talking about in 1 Corinthians 7, talking about this desire, right? This passion for physical relationships or for sex or for lust, whatever it is. Like if you're a person marked like that, you need to be married, because in the confines of marriage, right, like everything is fine. Like it's not a sin, but outside of that it is. And so part of knowing this thing is you got to be self-aware of yourself. You got to know, hey, you know what? I struggle with lust. I struggle with this. And so putting yourself in those physical, alone, intimate settings, like your heart's going to be prone to wander. It's going to be prone to push the boundaries, to go further. And then that's exactly where Satan wants you. He wants you to feel defeated. He wants you to ruin something that the Lord has meant for his good. And like along the same lines, another question is if you love someone, isn't it natural for me to want to express it physically? Absolutely. It's natural for that. And that's exactly how the Lord intended it for it to be. And the thing is in a dating relationship, like
it's okay to
it's like you can hug, you can hold hands, you can now if your parents say no, default to the parents.
But I think it goes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier, is what did you decide as a single person, not in a relationship, that was okay for you, based off of your love and worship of the Lord? Did you decide that kissing was okay for you? And now that you're in a relationship, are you saying, well, making out is okay? Because you're telling yourself, it's okay to push the lines now that I'm here and now. And those are really hard things to uphold, like making a boundary, setting kind of a guideline, and then actually putting that into practice is super hard. And that's why Paul says what he says, is that like if you can't hold back the temptation, if you can't not fall to the desire, then yes, get married. But so often when we make out, when we bring physical aspects into the relationship, you're bringing lust, you're bringing desire, you're bringing temptation, and those are really hard things to not fall to. I guess that's really it. Those are really hard things not to fall to, and so you're setting yourself up for failure. But I want to make something clear here. If you have messed up, if you have gone further than what you feel is okay, please do not let the shame of that, don't carry the shame of that or the guilt or whatever it is that you experience with that into the rest of your life, because I don't want y'all to ever think, I hate the analogy of like you have a flower and you smush it once you've like given yourself up to somebody else, because that's not true. It's just the perspective that we have put on it. And yes, it is hard to mend brokenness from those things, but in no way should you let the shame and guilt of that affect how you see love and sex and physical intimacy for the rest of your life. And so if that's something you are struggling with, please talk to us.
Absolutely.
Because I want you to know, like, you are more than perfect as the Lord has created you, whether you've messed up or not. And it's not because of us that we're perfect. It's because of Jesus Christ that we're perfect. So I just want to put that out there, because I don't want y'all to think this is you smushed your flower, you busted up something, and now you can't ever get it back, because that's not true. Yeah.
So we're going to do this last question, and it's this, what does a healthy relationship look like in high school? All right, that's where you're at. What does a healthy relationship look like in high school? And so I have some verses I want to read real quick. In Romans 12, once again, verses 9, it says this: let love be genuine, arbor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Don't be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. So, what does a healthy relationship in high school look like? It looks like this. It looks like letting your love be genuine. It looks like serving one another. It looks like holding fast to what is good. And then I love verse 12. It says, be patient in tribulation. Now, I'm not saying that my desire for the girl I'm dating or the guy I'm dating is a tribulation, but being patient, holding fast to your boundaries. And that's why I led with, like, date in friend groups. Like, I'm not saying date everyone who you're best friends with, but what I'm saying is instead of me and Allison just going on a date by ourselves, man, let me and Allison and a couple of our other couple friends go on a date. Like, don't isolate yourself. That's exactly what Satan wants, even in your own individual life, right? Whenever you're isolated, you're prone to sin. You're prone to attack. Like, bored men are dangerous men. So when you're bored, or when you're alone, or when you are in the dark, right? Things like, you can push those boundaries. So have the boundaries. I would say have open communication with people in your life who hold you accountable, and your parents.
Somebody that, like, is older than you, that you respect, that you're not afraid of talking about the hard stuff, because to be honest, they're probably, if you are lucky and you never mess up in your relationship, that is going to be amazing. But if you do mess up, have somebody you can go to who can hold you accountable now to a boundary, who can check in on you, who you can say, hey man, like, I want to go on a date with this person, but I don't trust myself to be alone. And you're like, well, you and whoever come with us.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, and this might not be popular to some people, but your parents have the best interest for you. Like, they love you more than anyone else does, even if it doesn't feel that way sometimes. They love you more than anything. So when you ask them for advice, they're going to look at it from what's best for you. And that's exactly what you need in your life. And your parents have been there. They've done this. They've gone through dating relationships. They've been married. They've seen the other side of marriage. They know the natural steps for where you need to go and what you're dealing with and what you're thinking through. So lean on your family. Lean on your parents. Let love be genuine. Outdo one another, showing honor. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Be in community. Don't be isolated. Have some boundaries. Don't be alone. And
have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Go hang out. Go do stuff.
Yeah. Do things you enjoy together.
Yeah, but
I feel like that.
Yeah. I think that's good.
If you have any concerns about what we said or any follow-up questions, please let us know.
Yeah.
like, I'm not shy when it comes to talking about this stuff. So if there's a girl out there who's like, hey, I really want to explore this thing that you said a little bit further, please come talk to me. Same thing with Slayton.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've
been there.
Yeah.
I've dated my fair share of people.
Another thing I want to add, though, is have boundaries also in your relationships with, like, other friends, other girls, other guys. Because if you get two guys together and they get off talking about whatever it is about a girl, that's also not healthy.
Yeah.
And same thing for girls. Like, don't let yourself be wandering even in the confinements of what you would call safe.
Yeah, that's good.
It's okay to talk about, boys who are cute or whatever, but don't allow yourself, don't cross boundaries in any relationship, regardless if it's with a guy or with a girl, in physical aspects or in communication aspects of what you're talking about, what you're watching emotional together, what you're listening to, those kinds of things.
Yeah,
all play in.
And last little nugget of truth is, don't get in a dating relationship, especially at your age, and let your faith be relying on the other person's faith.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's a really good one.
Once you're married and once you get closer to marriage and stuff like that, then that's a little different. But you are responsible for your faith. So if Allison's growing in the Lord and we're dating, and I know she's growing in the Lord, and I sort of piggyback on that, well, what happens when we break up? Now, I think a part of my faith is tied to her, which that's not true. Your faith is tied to Jesus. Your faith is tied to Him. So be pursuing the Lord in everything that you do. But do that individually. Do that in community with, like, other guys or girls that are, like, the same gender as you in community. Go to church. Be with other believers. But don't let someone else's faith be your faith. Own your faith. Take the next step in your faith, and always be presenting your body as a living sacrifice to the Lord, and be transformed in your mind, and testing what is good and what is wrong, which is what Romans 12 talks about, because the world's coming after you. Satan and the world knows that you can change the world. And that one of the easiest ways that they can keep you from changing the world is to hit you on the grounds of relationships, on the grounds or the battlefronts, whatever it is, of sexuality, of lust, of all that stuff. So be transformed by the renewal of your mind, being with the Lord, owning your faith, and be constant in prayer and spending time with the Lord and His Word. So, man, we love you guys. We can't wait to see you next Wednesday. Once again, if you have any questions or anything, contact us. We're always here for you. And my famous line is, y'all are awesome. All right, deuces. Perfect.